We were met at 8:15 this morning at Rock Gap by Jennifer and Daniel, some Franklin friends, who took us into Franklin for a whirlwind of errands.
Got a haircut?
Oh no, first.
Oh.
We went to Dollar General, bought some shampoo, and washed Texas Pete's hair in the parking lot, and then got that rad haircut. Look at that haircut. Compared to pre-haircut, that's a huge improvement. Then I'm gonna forget. Then we dropped Texas Pete off at the barber.
And I sat there like a homeless person.
And
while they went to Outdoor 76.
Which was closed.
Oh.
We need tent stakes because I left tent stakes in the van. North Star and Fish took those home. So we went to Walmart. I ran in and got 8 tent stakes. Brand new. Then back to the barber to pick up Texas Pete. Then to Subway, where we got some Subway sandwiches for lunch and maybe dinner. I didn't mention that we were greeted at 8:15 in Rock Gap by Jennifer and Daniel with Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits. And then they put us back out here on the trail and we got hiking again about maybe 10:45. So we're in Glass Mine Gap. We're going to sit down and enjoy some sandwiches, cold Mountain Dew.
We're having a good day.
We are.
We just walked through a summer rainstorm, and even though it's sunny now, there is some thunder in the distance. We're at the Albert Mountain Bypass Trail. It's here behind us, and we're thinking we might take it. We're not sure, but this is exactly 100 miles from Springer Mountain, so
We got 100 miles to go.
we can celebrate with a quarter bag of combos.
Oh, gross. I'm kidding. Combos are good. It's the pizza flavor that I'm a little bit like.
I just grabbed something off the shelf, so it's not even a quarter bag. There are like 2 left in here.
The thunder is rolling in the distance. I think we are probably going to try and go over Albert Mountain here. We'll skip the tower, but Conarock has a crew up here that has made a bunch of stairs.
We do want to see those.
And we want to check the stairs out.
So we might just take our chances.
Conarock, maybe I'll mention this. It's like the Appalachian Trail Conservancy's trail building special forces team. So we're going to go check it out. We're not going to climb the tower behind me, but here's the view from Albert Mountain. We just got rained on by that storm in the distance. That is neat how that ridge is hiding between being in the storm and not being in the storm. This watershed in front of us here has a really neat story. It's on the board here in front of you, but the short story is, as that watershed marches up towards us, it branches off like a fractal into all these little mini watersheds on the side of the ridges over here. And they used this, the Forest Service used this as a soil testing laboratory. And so they would mark off these watersheds and plant different species of trees at different densities per acre to see how the soil reacted. So it was a soil conservation project. So this is a gigantic outdoor laboratory out here in front of us. Okay, here we are at the new stairs section. It probably looks cooler from the bottom, but this is pretty nice. We are at Betty Creek Gap, and we are reading again this new law that the Forest Service passed earlier this year, probably maybe in February. At least that's the first time I heard of it. It defines how to properly store food in the backcountry. Like hard-sided canister, you can store it in your car. It gives the dimensions for like a legal bear hang, and it defines what food is, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
And then back here on this tree behind me is the first time I have seen a notice that is talking about a fine if you don't comply with the law. So the law does have an enforcement measure in it. And down here at the bottom it says, failure to properly store food will result in a fine of up to $5,000. So this says this closure is in effect from Betty Creek to Standing Indian Shelter, which we had kind of planned on going into Beach Gap tonight, which is right in the middle of that area. And so we're going to have to find a proper food hang, or
To a Standing Indian?
We're gonna have to turn it into like a 21-mile day and get past Standing Indian Shelter.
Oh, you can't camp at Standing.
Well, I don't know. That says from Betty Creek to Standing Indian. I'd like to know if those endpoints are inclusive or exclusive.
Because, like, could we... Well, we could always just camp in the tent sites that are past Standing Indian.
Right. If we went
shelter.
just south of Standing Indian, like 100 yards,
Yeah.
are we legal?
I mean, we have to be.
I'd like to look further into this, the details of this closure. We'll see what the day writes. We're going to keep walking southbound into the closure area. Here's grass to get our shoes wet. My socks were nice and dry. I think this grass was wet by the little rain shower we had about an hour and a half ago. Okay, here's Thorntown. We gotta get through that. So you just take your hiking pole and just start wading.
So thorny.
You give the person in front of you some good room. Oh yeah. What is going on here? Nature. We didn't sign up for this. It's not comfortable.
Scratching every itch I can imagine.
And making more itches.
Yeah.
This trail, the crown here of the laurel and rhododendron has been burned out or died out or something. And it has created a ton of sunlight right here on the trail where there used to not be any. And so a lot of this undergrowth is, reaching into the trail for sunlight.
Yeah.
All right. We're hiking up the side of Ridgepole Mountain, and the clouds are trying to obscure the fire tower on Albert that's 5.5 trail miles behind us. We've hiked almost a direct line from there to here across this near ridge. We skirted it, and then we hit the gap down low here, and now we're on the side of Ridgepole, skirting this mountain also, not going over its summit, headed to Carter Gap, which is probably just a mile ahead of us. Texas Pete's coming up the trail behind me.
I was just walking through the woods and came across these little chestnuts, and we see little chestnuts like all the time. But then I looked up, like this tree's coming out of this little grove of, chestnut shrubs, and this big tree is a chestnut. And this is really big for a chestnut with the blight and everything. And you can see that this is where this fungal blight has attacked this chestnut. Oh, and dang, that's a chestnut too. There's a chestnut behind us too.
That's really interesting. It's destroying all the sapwood, leaving the heartwood.
Yeah, the blight it attacks the sapwood, so the tree can't get nutrients. And you can see the ring on this one too, low down.
There's another big chestnut tree.
Wow, these are big chestnuts.
That one right there is by far the biggest one we've seen.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. But yeah, that guy's
They're both dying.
he's got problems. He's hanging on.
Yeah, here's the dead one over here coming out of another little grove.
Oh yeah, that one's been gotten. He's gone. Good eye. We pulled up in Carter Gap for about 20 minutes to shelter from what we thought was a storm about to hit us. And it just skirted us on the radar. So Texas Pete filled up our waters, and we made a little plan for tonight. We've been toying with the idea of going to Deep Gap. We're 12 miles into the day today. It's 5:22, and Deep Gap's another 8. But we don't really want to spend the night out tonight because we got maybe more storms coming. So I think we're going to do another 7.6 here to Standing Indian Shelter. And we're going to look for a legal bear hang option. And spend the night there out of the wind. On our southbound trip in November, we spent a terrible night in Deep Gap. I think the boys slept fine, but I was up on my feet outside the tent for an hour and a half because I could not lay down in the wind. And so I don't want to spend another windy night in Deep Gap. So we're gonna pull up 9/10 of a mile short of Deep Gap and just add that onto tomorrow and sleep tonight in Standing Indian shelter. That's the plan right now. We're gonna hit Beach Gap up here in maybe an hour and a half or so for dinner and keep walking. Beach Gap, 650. Texas Pete is eating dinner. This is a power move. He packed out a hot shot Italian sub. We did that for lunch, but he got a foot long and did it for dinner. I'm doing a little bit of Mountain House granola, bagel, knee-hot peanut butter, and cookie crackers. We're trying to eat a dry dinner here to save some time, and we're gonna push on to Standing Indian shelter. So we set a timer, time's a ticking. It's rolling 8 o'clock on my watch right now. We are in a very wet sea of briars and nettles and grass. It has either rained here very recently or we are also getting into the clouds. And so the clouds may have just settled onto this nettle. At any rate, our shoes and socks are completely soaking wet. We are very close to the summit of Standing Indian. I don't think we're gonna go to the top. The summit is a side trail. We are a mile from the shelter and our daylight is failing because while the sun isn't supposed to set till like 8:49, you know, our perceived sunset will be sooner because we're in the mountains and we are in a shroud of fog, or we're getting there. Are you soaking wet?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm all halfway up my shins.
I'm squishing in my shoes right now.
It's-
This has happened in the last 10 minutes.
I'm not completely soaked by now because I think you've taken out a lot of the moisture.
Oh, great.
So thank you for that, but I'm still very wet.
So we are fed. We have headlamps on quick draw. We have our bear bags packed. The line is ready. I've even picked up a rock. I'm carrying a rock with me so that I don't have to search for when we get into camp here.
What a thru hiker, you get to carry a rock.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever carried a rock for a bear bag. So we're hoping to walk up to the shelter, it be empty, and we'd be able to find a pretty slick bear hang here. This is what we're walking through. Thorns, nettles, like hobble bush, and other unnamed ferny looking, oh, but it's all dripping wet.
We're doing a tick check tonight.
Gosh, if we didn't get a tick today, we're immune or whatever. Okay, here is the side trail to the summit, which we're skipping.
Yeah.
With your approval, Texas Pete?
Of course.
Okay, Texas Pete approves. Look, there's the summit up there.
Isn't it really cool?
That's awesome. Can you imagine? Okay, here's a lower ridge trail. It heads back into Standing Indian campground. I found $20 laying on that trail one time. So we're on a little finger ridge of the mountain now. Hard down on the left. We may get a little view of the topo over here to the left, and the wind is starting to trying to get through here. And this is why we're going to the shelter tonight. I don't want to lay in my tent and listen to this for 8 hours. Check this out. Oh, look at this, B. You can kind of see a view.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool actually.
And you can see that the sun is still up over there.
The sun is shining on that valley.
There is hope in the world.